All right, what up, YouTube? This is No Cap, No Filter. I'm your host, Marlon G, back at y'all to the episode of Running With You. And today we got to run about this video I came across. And it's this woman, and she questions why isn't there a female loneliness epidemic? It's always a lot of talk about a male loneliness epidemic because, you know, males don't be getting a lot of attentions from their counterparts, especially in this day and age with digital social media and hypergamy and things of that nature. Um, but if we flip it around, well, I don't know, people talk about the female loneliness epidemic, and that's what this one woman is getting at in this video. Without further ado, let's go ahead on and see what she's talking about. I haven't seen this video, so we're gonna react to it together.
Have you ever wondered why there's a male loneliness epidemic, but there isn't a female epidemic? Shouldn't we be just as lonely? Aren't there our counterparts? It's actually because we aren't lonely. In fact, most of us felt lonelier when we were with you. The other part of this is women like being around other women. Y'all don't even like being around each other. And in our loneliness, after we realized how many times you guys were going to keep disappointing us, we found ways to be fulfilled. And in that, we realized, hey, this is a lot more peaceful. What did you guys do? You opted out and you numbed. You leaned into your porn addiction. You never emotionally evolved. You never developed any type of emotional skills to cope with all of the pain, all of the shame, all of the inadequacy that you feel. You men are struggling. And this is why I actually can't believe that men aren't against the patriarchy, because you are suffering in the patriarchy. You are drug addicts in the patriarchy. You are committing suicide in the patriarchy. You cannot talk about your feelings because of the patriarchy. You kept getting lonelier and lonelier. And let me tell you, loneliness is what happens when you refuse to grow, but still expected to be loved. And women are done. And you want to
know? Halfway through this video, I think when it comes to this loneliness epidemic on both sides, I just think when it comes to women, they're more interested in, being in social constructs. They're more interested in, going out, being seen, getting took on date nights and things of that nature. Men, I do think it's a big percentage of the porn being a part of this loneliness epidemic with men, because back then you had to get access to porn through like videotapes and magazines, certain channels. You remember when you had the certain channels like HBO at like nighttime, it'll be blurred out, or you'll only get access to like videotapes, and you'll have to have a VCR, and you'll probably can only play this when everybody was asleep or gone. But now you just got access to it on your phone device. You could just have this anywhere, anytime you want. And I do think porn has a lot to do with it, but I also think the rise in video games being played online, they say, a lot of men, they rather play the game online with their friends or play just games in general than going out to a bar nowadays. So I do think it ain't just about being lonely. I do think it's about a lot of people are fine with being, hermits. A lot of people are fine with being just, self-secluded and just being into their own bubble. Me, I'm like that. Like, I'm a very much a homebody, but I do like to travel when it's time to travel. But women, they pretty much like to hang out with friends. They like to hang out with friends. They like to go out. They like to be support systems for one another. So I do think that a female loneliness epidemic is only due to them not getting chose for a relationship. Like, yeah, they're sleeping with more men than ever, but they're not getting chose to be a wife. They're not getting chose to be in a relationship with. It's just situationships, and that can bring them to be lonely. That can bring them to be getting on antidepressants and stuff of that nature. But they can always have someone to be around. Whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's going out and having strangers come up to them and talk to them, or, finding a guy to hang out with for the night.
what our result is we don't have a loneliness epidemic. We have an entire epidemic where women are realizing that they have much less labor, where they are realizing that they have much more peace, where they aren't emotionally dysregulated because they're not being abused. and women built emotional skills to deal with your abuse. And now look what happened is we have out evolved you to the point where so many women are like, this is actually better, but we are not the ones that are lonely. You are, and that should be a problem to you.
Hmm. I think that um the more attractive you is, that can be a gift and a curse because a lot of people don't want to be around you for you. A lot of people just want to be around you because you're attractive. And I think that when a woman go through this cycle of man after man after man, it can be, what's the word? It can be draining. And a lot of women can want to just be to themselves after a while. That's why a lot of them turn to Christ. That's why a lot of them turn to some type of religion. And with their friends, when they attractive, a lot of girls try to leech on other girls for aesthetic purposes, just to have another pretty friend in the group, because they can present resources to them. They can present opportunities for them. Um, it's almost like that one girl that's kind of nerdy in school, but she wants to hang out with the mean girls, if given the chance. Um, but yeah, man, I think when it comes to this lonely epidemic between both genders, I, I think it's gonna only get worse because a lot of the people are gonna get ostracized. Like when it comes to the streaming content, when it comes to social media in this digital age that we're going in, I think it's only gonna get amplified, and it's gonna be like a Black Mirror episode. Like your whole currency gonna come off of your social status and within the streaming hierarchy and within the digital hierarchy, and the people who are gonna just get phased out other people who are not much on that. But I do think that's going to come at a cost of some people who are going to get left behind. And those people are going to start developing some type of, comparison and feeling like they're missing out. And some people, they're going to have bliss. They're going to have a lot of, you know, good because they think that is detrimental. They think that social media is destruction and all this and all that. So it can be a gift and a curse depending on your perspective on it. Me personally, I think a lot of social media can be harmful. I think a lot of being alone by yourself can be harmful. And I think a lot of overstimulation and, with, having to keep up your social battery can be harmful. So I think everything, as long as you balance it out, can be fine. But I don't know what y'all think. Is it a female loneliness epidemic? Let me know if y'all experienced that. Have y'all talked about it with friends? Let me know down in the comment section below. Let me know if you like the video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, what you're waiting on. Until next time, I'm out.